Thanks for engaging in this content today on how do we have breakthrough. It's a good thing to explore because I think we can have some misconceptions on what breakthrough is, or what is it. We can have these feelings in life where we can feel stuck or overwhelmed by life, and we just want someone to give us a lucky break, to have a win for a change, or something just to go right for us. It's a pretty common thought. And when you think about it, there's so much in our lives, certainly there is for me, that's working against me. It feels like that. It feels like that in life constantly there are these two forces at work in my life, and they're kind of competing against each other, and it's a real thing that we feel internally. And if it kind of leaves us in this place where we feel that we can't, in a free way, just carry out all the good intentions that we have for our lives and for others. It's an interesting scenario, and it's real for every person. It's within me. It's like these two forces at work. So what do we do with that? Because if we're not careful, we get stuck in that, we give in to that, we can feel defeated and therefore not have breakthrough in our life. What I see, I don't know if you see this, too often we can just wait for breakthrough to happen. We just have this kind of hope that in some way, some random way, breakthrough would happen in our life. Have you felt like that? You see that manifested sometimes where people would just wait for some lottery win in their life, for the lotto ball to drop, for them to win that huge lottery that would have breakthrough in their lives. That is very rare, extremely rare. But we can have that kind of thinking in our lives when it comes to what does it mean to have breakthrough and how do I get it? Even if you look at that scenario of the lottery or financial success, whatever that means, we can wait to win the lottery. I've seen some people think they're going to win that without even buying a ticket. Or in that example, we could choose to save a little bit every day into a bank account with some interest and compound interest over a long period of time, and all of a sudden there's a huge amount of money and go, look at that breakthrough. Interesting scenario. Or when we're thinking about breakthrough, we can just wait for someone else to do it for us. Someone else to make it happen. Someone else to invest in your business venture. Someone else to discover you or your talent or what you want to do. That's really rare as well. You know what? You and I have the responsibility to lead our own lives. That's my self-leadership. It's your self-leadership. And you know what? If you've heard me speak anywhere, often I would say the hardest person I get to lead is me. The hardest person I lead is myself. It's hard work. But you know what? There's probably not going to be some random scenario that will lead to breakthrough in your life. There's probably not going to be someone to come along and just make something happen for you and you have breakthrough. So how do we do it? What does that look like? I would want to suggest today that breakthrough can happen in your life, but it happens in the little moments of your day, of your hour, sometimes of your minute. You and I can create moments in our life where we have breakthroughs in our days, in the little moments, or what seem like little moments. You know, breakthrough happens one little thing, one little win after another over a long period of time. You see, one win after another builds a momentum in your life that will lead you to the hopes and dreams that you have. But it happens in the little moments. Too often we think as breakthrough, even the word suggests that it's one moment in time that we have breakthrough. It's pretty rare that happens. It happens when we take the intentionality and the initiative and we embrace that scenario where there's often two forces working against us and we have a choice. But we choose to win in the little moments. Time and time and time. They build momentum. They build on each other and they will lead you to breakthrough. You know, language is important. When I think of breakthrough, I like the language, the power of an instead moment. It's that kind of language that helps me in the moments when I need it the most. The power of an instead moment. Well, what is an instead moment? It kind of makes sense when you hear it. It looks at the realities of what's going on in our life and it suggests that we have a choice. That we have a choice in the moment of sometimes complexity or things that we'd want to do that might be a negative way or a negative pattern or a vulnerability that we have. But in that moment, you and I actually have the ability to make a choice and instead choose something different. Now, this can be easy to talk about, but hard to do, but not impossible. There's a great book that I read a little while ago. It's by Dr. Les Parrott. It's called 3 Seconds. I'd recommend it to you. Check it out. 3 Seconds by Dr. Les Parrott. He's a psychologist, and in his work, he discovered that it actually, for you and I, we have 3 seconds to change the direction of a thought. Now, that's good news and bad news at the same time. It's good news in the sense that to change the direction of a thought from maybe a negative default position that we might always choose, that we can, within a 3-second period, change the direction of that thought to something positive that would then lead us to do something different. It doesn't change the action in 3 seconds, it actually changes how we think that leads us to have a win. To have a moment that can build momentum in our life that leads to breakthrough. That's the power of an instead moment. And you and I have the ability to choose that all the time. I don't know about you, but I'm fairly predictable in where I can be vulnerable or where it's challenging for me to actually have wins in my life. I can procrastinate about things, I can be pretty lazy, and it's easy for me to choose things in that space. Yet, I can train to have this perspective, to actually embrace with this principle the power of an instead moment and choose something different that leads me in a new direction. So, what would that look like for you? If you think about your life right now, what would be the major aspects of life where you feel things are working against you, where it's really hard, it's challenging, you might have a negative pattern or habits or things that you know that you predictably do that you go, I just wish I could break through that. I wish I could make things different. I just want breakthrough in that area of my life, whatever that is. Whatever those major things are, that's where I'd encourage you to actually use this principle, the power of an instead moment. You are stronger than you think. We're created that way. We're created with a free will and the ability to make choice, and you are stronger than you think. So, can I encourage you, in those areas, think about them now. You know what they are. You've probably been battling with them for a while, or you feel like they're getting on top of you. Whatever that is, in the way that you might deal with relationships or some of that inner turmoil that you have or the way that you feel about people or situations or a business that you're just trying to grow and you're not really getting there. Whatever that is, that's your place to train in this space. I like that concept of training. Some people use the word discipline, which is training. You know what? You and I have opportunity every day, every hour, sometimes every moment to use this principle. Can I encourage you to actually have this language maybe? Give it a go. Try it. The power of an instead moment. It's an instead moment. You've got 3 seconds to change the direction of your thought. That's a long time actually when you think about it in the moment. We can think very quickly. Now this scenario, this principle, it actually engages with the reality that's going on in your life. It doesn't ignore it. It's not something that just ignores what's going on. It actually engages with the complexity of your life. It engages with how you feel in situations, and it acknowledges that. But you go, however, I choose to actually think about that differently, and therefore that leads me in a different direction. For example, if you're really angry and you hang on to anger for people, You can actually catch yourself doing that. The power of an instead moment says you actually choose to forgive. You might feel really bitter and frustrated, and that's a real feeling that you have for people, and sometimes that can happen in families and work colleagues or even just strangers that you meet. You could actually stay in that space or catch yourself and instead choose kindness. You might use it in the analogy, in regards to health and fitness. You know this one. You'll get home of an afternoon, and if you haven't done any exercise, you sit on the couch and you could just stay there. Or instead, you could choose to exercise. It's when you go to the fridge and you open up and some of those chocolate biscuits or something there catches your eyes and it's a sugar hit and there's a piece of fruit next to it. You know those scenarios. You're familiar with it. You have the ability to have an instead moment. So it could be your fitness. In those moments that are working against you, how could you choose something different and have an instead moment that leads you in a different direction? There's so many examples, but the examples don't really cut it. It's actually what's going on in your life. Those areas that this principle could work for me. It could lead me to breakthrough. If you're actually someone that wants breakthrough, I'd encourage you to give this a train. Give it a go. Train in it, train in it, train in it every day. We can train our minds to do it. We can have instead moments and actually go, what's the breakthrough that could happen? Get a vision of it. Move to it. Marriages will be saved. Addictions will be conquered. Relationships will be in healthy places. Bodies can be fit. Our businesses can be succeeding. It can all happen, but we don't need to wait for it. We don't need to have some random set of things. We don't need to wait for someone else to do it. It's in the little things that we do this inner self-leadership and hard work that leads us in a direction that can bring breakthrough. My hope is that you can look back over a couple of years maybe. It might not even be that long. It could be a couple of months or days depending on what you're working on. And you know what? Someone will actually notice that in your life and go, wow, they've really had a breakthrough. And you don't need to speak into that necessarily, but inside it wasn't a moment. It wasn't a random act. No one did it for me. It's from the little things in my day where I've chosen to have an instead moment. Can I encourage you? Work at it. Are you going to get it right all the time? No. That's not really the issue. You know what? You can be consistently inconsistent and still build momentum in your life. In fact, when you're training in this and you don't get it right there's an instead moment. You could actually feel discouraged, disempowered, and feel like giving up. Or in that moment, in a 3-second, change the direction of your thought and pick yourself up and keep going and hang on to the thought of breakthrough. Hang on to the vision of that. Hang on to the hope of that. Have confidence that you're moving towards it. But it will take some big self-leadership, some deep internal work, but you can do it. That's the power of an instead moment that will and can lead you to breakthrough. I'd love to hear about some of those things. Well, if today's been helpful for you in any way, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just subscribe there. There'll be more content that's just free that can help you to live your best life. There's other ways to stay connected with New Heights on socials and YouTube. Stay connected. We're on this journey together. My hope is that together we can celebrate that we can actually lead ourselves to live our best life and to live with a greater impact. We'll see you again soon.